Mothers juggle a lot. Just look at our calendars. But did you know that mothers also carry an invisible workload? I'm Dr. Ellen Ettinger, and I'm going to be talking today all about the invisible workload, what it is, and I'm going to be giving some practical strategies on how to lower that workload, on how to lower that burden. So I'm glad that you're joining me today for a really important topic. And I find that some mothers don't even realize that they're carrying an invisible workload. So this is really an important topic. So again, mothers juggle a lot, and not every task that mothers handle is found on the calendar. And those activities that are on the calendar that we see and we're aware of, that are visible, that's referred to as the visible workload. But there are a lot of tasks that we keep on our minds, a lot of emotional and mental work, especially emotional work for ourselves, emotional feelings of our kids, our families, sometimes even our workplace. And there's an endless list of small tasks on our minds that we don't even see on our calendars. And that's the invisible workload. And there are so many examples. I'm going to give a few, but you may come up with some others on your mind. And if you do, I'm going to ask you to share them in the comments, because I'm always interested in what people are experiencing themselves. So please feel free to share along with us in our community. So some examples that the mothers that I speak to have come up with for the invisible workload is something sudden, like, I just realized we're running out of toothpaste. We don't have enough toothpaste to get through the day or tomorrow. Or we don't have laundry detergent and we need to do the laundry. Or you realize your kid needs a form signed for school or summer camp and you forgot to sign it. Or you don't know if they packed it to bring it to school or camp. Or you need to make a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment for your child. Or you think about how your child was upset yesterday about something, and you hope that they're back at school or camp today, and you hope that they're doing okay. Or maybe they weren't feeling well yesterday or last night, but they were well enough to go to school or summer camp today, and you just hope that they're doing okay. Or how about another one? This is a common one. You realize that your mother-in-law's birthday is coming up next week, and you need a gift and a card. Or your child is going to a birthday party next week, and you need a gift or a card. Or maybe even something like you realize you're going to need to change your child's clothing from summer to fall, or from one season to another, and you need to start gathering clothes for that new season. So there really are a lot of examples of the invisible workload. And again, a lot of mothers aren't even aware that they carry this extra burden that's largely on their minds. So if you're feeling tired and if you're feeling exhausted, realize that you have a lot of burdens and stresses that you're carrying. And I'm going to give you some practical strategies. I want you to think first. I want to explain the invisible workload. So first, imagine the visible workload as weights. Imagine you're carrying weights on your hands, and that's your visible workload. And think about the weight, how heavy that is by itself. And then imagine somebody's putting some invisible boxes on top of whatever you're already carrying, of your invisible workload. And that burden is even heavier and deeper. So again, we don't want you to be constantly carrying this heavy load. And if you've been coming to my channel, you'll know that it really is important to me to help empower mothers so that they're stronger, more prepared, more in control of their activities and their work, and they feel less of a burden because they feel that they have more empowerment strategies. So I'm going to share a few strategies with you today on how to handle the invisible workload. And one is to do what I call doing a brain dump on a piece of paper or a pad of paper. So take a paper and a pen or a pencil and try to write down all the things that you're thinking of on your mind that you don't have on your calendar. And what that does is it helps you take it off of your mind. At least it's off of your mind and on your paper. And then you can decide what you want to do with these tasks that are on your paper. And that brings me to my second strategy. So now you have to decide what you want to do with these tasks. And I've thought about it, and there are really 4 types of decisions you can make about these tasks. One is you can decide that you want to delegate or share a task with somebody else. For example, if you have a spouse or a partner, you might want to share or delegate a task and let them know. For example, you might say, did you realize we're running out of toothpaste? I really need you to be responsible for the toothpaste. When it gets to a certain level, please put it on your list so that we'll know that you pick up the toothpaste. And it might be as simple as delegating a task or maybe sharing a task. Sometimes you do something, sometimes they take care of it. And again, toothpaste is just an example. That may not be one that fits for you, but there may be another example that's more appropriate for your family. And again, you might want to delegate or share it with a spouse or a partner or a family member. If you have a teen or a tween who can help with things around the house, it might be perfect to share certain types of tasks with them. And again, the invisible workload is a heavy burden, but to be fair, sometimes mothers don't even realize they have the invisible workload. So I think we can't really directly blame our spouses or partners for not realizing everything that's on our mind. Sometimes we just need to take the initiative to go with them and discuss with them, look, I know you may not realize this, but, and then discuss with them about what they can do to help handle certain tasks, certain activities, certain burdens. And the second component of being fair is sometimes as mothers, we think to ourselves, you know, I'm better at doing this. It's easier for me just to handle this. I don't want to hand these things over to other people. But if we keep saying that, then we're keeping all of the stresses and responsibilities. And sometimes it may take time to discuss and share and explain what needs to be done, or sometimes to teach what needs to be done. But once you've done that, and somebody else can help take over an activity or a task or a routine, that can really save you time and stress. So think about what you might be able to delegate and share. The second of the 4 decisions you might be able to make on tasks is to modify a task. So, for example, if you dust a particular area every week, you might decide, you know what, if I do that every other week, it'll be fine. And again, that's just an example. You might come up with something else that's more applicable for your situation. A third option you might have about tasks is you might decide that you want to keep this task, that this task is appropriate for you to handle. And a fourth decision-making option is you might look at a particular task and decide, you know what, that's not really something that's important anymore that I feel we need to keep. And you might decide to delete, to eliminate that task entirely from your list. So again, once you come up with your list, you might decide 4 different actions you might take. And my third suggestion for you is when you feel overloaded, when you feel overly stressed, remember that self-care and self-compassion are important. It's important to find me time, to think about stress management and all the stress tools I've been teaching in my channel. Remember to be good to yourself. And that brings me to the fourth practical suggestion I want to suggest to you. So if you're finding that the weight is heavy, mothers often think that they're isolated and alone and nobody understands what they're feeling and nobody has solutions for them. So I want to make sure that you know that my channel is a place that you can come to for solutions. And it's a full scope area to help solve the problems that mothers experience. So they may be issues with general stress in motherhood. They may be issues about handling work-life balance, or what steps do you need to take to get to your next promotion at work, or to really skyrocket your business? Or how do you handle a developmental issue that your child is handling? For example, if you're trying to help them learn to sleep at night or sleep in their bed, or if you're handling tantrums. Or I've had a few parents I've spoken to recently of teens and tweens where communications have been difficult. And they've come to me for some advice and strategies on developing relationships and communications and cooperation with their kids better. So again, remember that you have a full scope area here. And the advantage of that is that in motherhood and parenting, there are many gears and they all have to work together for everything to function well. And when you make a change in one area independently, it often affects the other areas. And sometimes you might want to make a change in one area that's a positive change that ends up being detrimental to other areas. I find that mothers come to me often when they've worked with marketing coaches or business coaches for their work. And it may be something that helps their work, but then they end up being really overly burdened with something related to their kids or home or family. So again, the advantage in a place like my channel and working with me is that I'll always be thinking with you about all of the gears, whether it's sleep training your kids or something to do with food or behavior or your work or your business. We're going to look at all of the issues, all of the gears, all of the changes, and make sure that everything is aligned, everything works together. So if that sounds like something that would help you, feel free to schedule an appointment with me, a phone appointment. I will put my calendar underneath. And again, I hope that this topic of the invisible workload was helpful to you. If it was, remember that there are many other strategies that can help as well. So feel free to reach out to me. And don't sit and feel that you're isolated and alone. Mothers often feel at home that every mother has to come up with their own solutions. And that's just the old model. That's just not the way it is anymore. There are so many tested and tried solutions and strategies. So again, feel free to reach out if you feel that it would be helpful. And I hope that this topic, the invisible workload, was helpful to you. If it was, please click thumbs up. Please share it with other people so we can get the message out there. And subscribe so that when I come out with new videos, and I do come out with a new one each week, that you'll benefit by knowing about it. So again, I look forward to getting together with you again. And until next week, be empowered, be strong, and let's talk together again soon.